is going on YouTube? TJ Swagger here. I am back for another reaction video. I'm reacting to Horror Shorts Party 3 True Popeye Chickens Horror Stories. So, I will put his channel down on down in the description and all that. So, let's get to the reaction video. And it helped me a lot. If you please like and subscribe, it will help me a lot. Turn on the bell notification. You won't miss any other videos. Tell your family, tell your friends to support this channel. It will help me a lot. Let's get to the video. Let's start the reaction video.
I don't know why people do this, but whenever a fast food chain comes out with some trendy new addition to their menu, people go absolutely crazy. I had a front row seat to it once, back when Popeyes released their spicy chicken sandwich. It was all over the internet and everybody was trying it. But to be real with you, it shakes my faith in humanity to see what some people do when they can't get their hands on what they want. That first week after it became a thing was relentless. I had no idea what I was in for when I got scheduled that week. It didn't take long for the long lines to form, but the chaotic vibes of all that demand never seemed to dissipate. It was exhausting. I've never had to work so hard in my life, just ringing people up at a register, and every time it was the same order. We were struggling just to keep up. I know a lot of us were getting fed up and ready to quit. And a lot of that was thanks to the way the customers were treating us. Like I said, some people would lose their minds over this stuff. The scariest part of my day was telling people, sorry, we have a limit of 2 sandwiches per order. Or, even worse, having to tell that whole line of people who'd been waiting for close to an hour, sorry everyone, but we're out of chicken fillets for the sandwiches. Please come back tomorrow. I'd like to believe that every human being is capable of reason. But all that apparently goes out the window when they're denied this pile of bread and chicken that everyone is after. A lot of people flipped out whenever we announced we were out of fillets, but I remember one particular guy who took it a little farther than anyone else. What? You're out? What do you mean Popeyes is out of chicken sandwiches? Y'all are a bunch of frauds! I'm really sorry, sir, but the sandwich is extremely popular. We'll have more tomorrow if you'd like to come back. Are you trying to tell me that I waited in this ridiculous line for 45 minutes just for you to tell me to come back tomorrow? Well, if you're really hungry, we have plenty of chicken tenders and biscuits. I don't want chicken tenders! I want the chicken sandwich! You hear me? Sandwich! Sandwich! Get me the sandwich! Let me go get my manager.
Crazy.
I slipped away from the register and went back into the kitchen. I hated going in there. It was always hot and loud and greasy. But ever since the sandwich rush came through, it was a million times worse. There'd been no time to clean anything, so everything was covered in grease. Everybody in there was working on overdrive, and it always felt like I was in the way whenever I was back there. But in that moment, it was a nice reprieve from the chicken-crazed man screaming in my face. It didn't take long to find my manager. He was a big dude, and I mean big. Pretty much everybody in there was used to counting on him to deal with the crazier customers who came through. There aren't many people who wouldn't be intimidated by a man of that size threatening to throw them to the curb. Hey, boss, we got another crazy one up front. Again? Man, every time. All right. Come out with me and don't sit here doing nothing. So, I followed him back to the register. Already, the crowd of people in the dining room was dwindling, as people with disappointed faces gave up and went home. However, there was still some people sticking it out to get some chicken tenders as a substitute. I was hoping that in the few moments I'd been gone, that screaming man would have had enough time to collect himself and maybe reconsider the value of the rage he was expressing. He did not. Sir, we deeply apologize that you weren't able to get the meal you were looking for. We try to make sure everyone gets what they want, but everybody wants the same thing, and we have a limited supply. Screw your limited supply! I want a chicken sandwich! How about this? Since you waited in line, I'll give you a coupon for half off the meal combo. Does that work for you? The man said nothing. He only stared us down with childlike fury intensifying in his eyes. I took a step back out of instinct. My manager turned around to go into the office and get the coupon. And that's when the man snapped. I want it now! He jumped over the counter in a flash and charged at my manager, who turned around just in time to see it coming. The collision sent my manager reeling, but like I said, he was a big guy. He didn't get knocked down when the man tried to tackle him. He stood his ground and grappled with this chicken maniac. As soon as everyone figured out there was a fight happening, the whole restaurant turned into a ring. Everybody stopped whatever they were doing and started watching this guy try to take down the big boss. My manager can sure take a beating, I tell you that much. They flew around the whole restaurant, it seemed, throwing each other and charging at each other, trying to knock the other one out with so many punches. A lot of phones were taken out to record all this, but I took no part in that. I just tried to stay in a safe place where I wouldn't get roped into it. After a few minutes, the enraged man finally saw that there was no way of besting the hoss in a one-on-one fight. As quickly as he entered the fray, he got up and ran out the door. I definitely feel bad for what happened to my manager. His face was pretty messed up with a bunch of cuts and bruises. He didn't say much afterwards. We all decided to just close down for the day so things couldn't get any crazier. That was all right with me, because it meant that I could get to my own chicken sandwich a lot sooner than I'd anticipated. While everyone was cleaning up the mess that had been made, I snuck into the walk-in freezer and found the fillets I stashed that morning. I quickly put them in my bag and headed home for a nice dinner with my family. All spicy chicken sandwiches from Popeyes.
Check out this Popeyes pandemonium. Another Popeyes in Maryland. Guy jumps over the counter and attacks the manager because they ran out of chicken. Oh my God!
There's a lot of ignorant people out there. Sorry, that was an ad. Let's watch the video. But like I said, there's a lot of ignorant people out there. And Horror Shorts Party, good videos, man.
I've been working at Popeyes full-time for a while now, and I like to think I can handle myself whenever there's pressure. I don't appreciate the type of people that quit over the day-to-day stress that the job naturally comes with. You should know what you're getting into when you apply to a fast food joint, and if you can't sweat it, that's on you. At least, that's how I felt up until now. Recently, there's been a customer giving me a lot of trouble. For context's sake, I'm a young black girl in my early 20s. This dude is the kind of creep that makes me not want to use my real name. So for the story, my name is Katie. But let me get on with it. This dude, I don't even know his name. I'll just call him Kevin. He's one of the morbidly obese regulars that comes in all the time, especially on Tuesdays. Tuesday is our busiest weekday because we have this Toonie Tuesday discount scheme, so all the chicken is cheaper. Kevin comes in every single Tuesday without fail and buys a whole rack of fried chicken. I can always spot his triple chin through the window before he even comes to the door. God, I hate this guy. He's always flirting with me like he's some kind of chiseled stud, but he's definitely not that. He damn near takes up 2 registers just standing there. I've never seen a fatter man, and he's always bragging about being a butcher, like that's some kind of attractive profession. But I do my best to handle it. I keep it professional, or whatever. All of that stuff alone, even if it were every day, wouldn't make me want to quit like I want to quit right now. It's what he did today that makes my skin crawl. He came in on a Tuesday, like always, rumbling the earth under his feet. But on this day, he wasn't empty-handed like he usually was. He was carrying what looked like some box with a blanket over it. I had no idea what it was, but I wasn't about to stare and give him something to work with. He came up to my register to order, eyeing me all up and down, starting with his usual antics.
Welcome to Popeyes. What can I get you?
I'll have 10 Toonie Tuesdays, baby. I mean, Katie. I didn't even bat an eye. I just kept my cool and rang him up. But of course he wasn't done yet. And please don't forget, I like my chicken dark meat only. He was getting way too close to grab that receipt. I could smell the stench of his breath as he stared at my chest, drooling like a starving dog. I didn't say anything, though. I just calmly walked back into the kitchen to help the back of the house folks prepare his ungodly
Nah,
lunch.
call the cops.
Obviously, I didn't pay any attention to his request, because all the chicken is fried, and unless you know all the cuts, it all looks the same. I got back to the counter after a minute or two and handed Kevin his 10 boxes of chicken, but I already knew he had something else to say. Hey, baby, could I have a large of your best beverage, preferably Island Girl flavor?
Sure. That'll be $2.59. I'll bring it out to your table in a minute.
It takes a lot to not bite the head off a guy like that, but that's why they pay me 50 cents over minimum wage. There were a few other customers in line behind Kevin, and I wanted more than anything for anyone but me to bring him that drink. So I just decided to let the back of house folks pick up the ticket and fix his drink for him while I took care of other customers. But it didn't take long for things to take a turn for the worst. I guess I should have given him the kind of chicken he wanted, but screw that guy. I said dark meat only! This is ridiculous! Y'all don't know nothing about chicken! He sure got everyone's attention. A gigantic man acting like a little baby throwing a temper tantrum. Chucking boxes of chicken across the room as pieces went flying all over the store. But it's what he did with that attention that blows my whole mind. He picked up that big box he brought in and set it on the table, then tore off the blanket that covered it, revealing what it really was. A cage with a live chicken inside. He opened the trap and grabbed the chicken by the neck and lifted it in the air, waving it around so everyone could see it. The chicken squawked profusely as the man nearly choked it in the air. Then, he pulled a huge butcher knife out from God knows where. You all want to know why it's called Popeyes chicken? Because when you cut their heads off, their eyes pop out of their little skulls. There were gasps and screams as he said this.
No
And I saw
way.
a lot of people get up to leave. But it was too late. Kevin laid the chicken down on the counter and slammed the knife down on its neck. And sure enough, those little eyeballs popped right out of their sockets. Now, since none of you seem to get it, I'm gonna show you where the dark meat is. I managed to hold back the vomit long enough to take this one opportunity to scream at the guy.
Get out of here! I'm calling the cops!
You should have
Don't
done
get
that
all
already.
flustered, baby. This is all part of your job. Now, I know I ordered a drink, so how about you bring it out to me, and then I'll leave. You like that deal? Yeah. You go get that, and I'll keep educating your customers. Shame you don't want to sit in for the lesson. You could really learn a thing or two. My blood was starting to boil.
Nah.
I saw that
Call
his
the
drink
cops,
never showed
bro.
up on
Call the
counter.
cops.
And that's when I hatched a plan. When he turned around to keep butchering the chicken, I grabbed a cup from the stack and slipped into the bathroom. I popped a squat and pissed into that cup, trying to get the job done as quickly as possible so he wouldn't notice anything. Then,
Oh
I
my
slipped
God,
back
that's
out
disgusting.
and topped it off with 7-Up. I put on a lid and straw and hustled out to the dining area where he was now the only person left. Kevin had his back turned to me, blood and feathers all
You
over
should have
the
called the
place,
cops
and all
besides
over him.
contaminating someone's
When
drink.
he turned around, I nearly puked again. He was mid-bite into a piece of raw, freshly slaughtered chicken. Blood was still oozing out of the muscle, and there were still feathers in it. He didn't seem to notice. Actually, he seemed to revel in it. He threw it on the ground and snatched the drink out of my hand. He popped the lid off and chugged the whole thing right there in front of me in a matter of seconds. When he finished, he gasped for air like he'd never been so refreshed in his whole life. Then, he stared at me with knowing eyes. That was delicious, baby. Thank you. But next time you spike my drink, make sure it's that time of the month. I'm sure you can tell I like blood. See you next Tuesday.
Ignorant people.
Fistfights, car crashes, even a murder. Yeah, this is going to sound pretty ridiculous, but all of that is over a chicken sandwich.
Some people are losing their minds over the newest offering from Popeyes.
I'm a full-time student attending the University of Maryland. I spend countless hours a day on campus attending classes and studying as much as possible before getting back to my rowdy apartment. Don't get me wrong, my roommates were also my friends, but they can be quite annoying at times. I get easily distracted by their company, so studying at home wasn't my preferred destination of choice. I really wanted to graduate with my set degree, hence my long days at my school library. Most days after school, I would find myself at Popeyes for some delectable and savory fried chicken. It was evening, and I left a bit later than usual due to the loud rumbling in my stomach. I stepped into my local Popeyes and got in line for their new chicken sandwich, which everyone was raving about. The smell as I stepped over that threshold hit me and made my stomach growl even more. I started to wait in line, but after 20 minutes, my bladder got ridiculously full. I usually use the washroom before placing my order, but today the line was incalculably long. Against my better judgment, the cries from my stomach were exceptionally louder than my bladder's need to empty itself. I figured I would just hold it in, as this particular location usually has quick service. That being said, I took the chance and remained standing within the long line. Unfortunately, I underestimated the need to leak, as the urge increasingly grew bigger. I squeezed my legs together tightly and looked behind me to see the line growing by the second, stretching all the way outside the door. What the hell? I said to myself in my head, as I looked in front of me and contemplated butting ahead a few spots. I've done it several times in the past, and no one has caught me since. As I vividly observed the customers ahead of me to plot my move, I noticed the couple standing in front of me looking angry and distraught, like someone had killed their dog or something. The woman I assumed to be the male's wife had that hangry look on her face, and though they didn't seem all that threatening, I decided it was better to just stand in my place and pray that the line moves before I full-on pee my pants. Upon making this decision, a scruffy dude came into the restaurant and started butting people. Most people rolled their eyes and scoffed in response to the persistent prick, but he kept saying something about his wife needing a sandwich. It was at that moment he approached the couple in front of me that I fully comprehended what he was demanding. Hey, guys, I need to butt in front of the line. If I don't get my wife a chicken sandwich in the next 3 minutes, she's going to divorce me. Or, even worse, not give me any for an entire month, and I can't really afford that right now.
She'll divorce you, huh? That's just too bad. We were here first. Babe, are you really gonna let this guy bud and take advantage of us?
The woman looked at the guy and sneered at him. The man standing with her opted to not provide any word of warning, but instead pulled out a knife and began stabbing the man at will.
No.
I watched in horror as blood splat all over my clothes and gushed out of his mouth. I could see the life leave this poor man's eyes as he crumbled to the ground in a bloody pulp. The restaurant was suddenly in an uproar of people screaming and running, thus causing a chaotic atmosphere. There was complete and utter pandemonium around me. The guy with the knife looked at me, and I full-on pissed my pants right there. I ran out of the building and didn't stop until I got to my apartment. When I got through the door, I collapsed on the floor while catching my breath. I was shaking from the shock coursing throughout my body, and I began puking my guts out. My roommates that were home came rushing to the entryway. Dude, are you okay?
Jesus.
I arched up with vomit dripping from my mouth and said, "Some dude just stabbed someone at Popeyes. He's freaking dead, bro. I just watched someone get murdered." Seeing it was one thing, but saying what happened out loud made my stomach drop. It was real. My roommates were kind enough to clean up the mess I had left behind while I headed for the shower. I took some time to calm down. At approximately 3 hours later, the report came out on the news in which I saw some familiar customers partaking in some interviews. I'm still shaken up, like I can't believe it. It's just a sandwich. I don't understand why people go to these measures. I watched a few more interviews as I reflected on the tragedy and the huge bullet I just dodged. Thoughts of butting that couple, or should I say that man, could have very well led to my demise. I guess next time I'll just steal my roommate's car and settle for the drive-thru.
This chicken sandwich worth a life. A man was killed after cutting line in Maryland just to get one of these chicken sandwiches.
Focused on this individual. According to Stawinski, he's the one who stabbed to death another customer in Popeyes, a customer who'd been methodically cutting a long line to get one of these Popeyes sandwiches.
I mean, it was packed. And that's where this is very troubling.
In addition to the man wanted for stabbing the line cutter, police are looking for this woman who was with the suspect. That both the suspect and the line-cutting victim appear to have been complete strangers to each other.
I don't want chicken tenders. I want the chicken sandwich. You hear me? Sandwich. Sandwich.